It's like a big downgrade. L'Université de Montréal à la 5e édition de la conférence Moodle Moot Canada, tenue conjointement avec l'École Polytechnique. It's an honor and a pleasure for the University of Montreal to host the 5th conference of Moodle Moot Canada, held jointly with the École Polytechnique. I want to thank Lambda Solutions, Open to Know and e-learning experts, the Moodle partners that made this conference possible. And I also want to thank Wiris, Explorance, Red Speaker, and IDTE, our sponsors and exhibitors. Now, I am very happy to introduce Martin Dougiamas. He actually needs no introduction, but I can say he is the founder and lead developer of Moodle. This session is an informal opportunity for you to ask Martin any question you dream about Moodle.
Anything but the red one.
Yeah. So,
nothing is off limits.
So feel free to ask. It's like an open bar, I can say.
You got 2 tickets each. Though.
Okay. There's always limit, you know. Yeah. So thank you, Martin, to be here with us, and I wish you all a good session.
Thank you. This is nice and intimate. It's good. Now, it's a bit difficult, this session, because I have a keynote tomorrow morning where I do plan to talk about practically everything. So we want creative, unusual questions, shining light on areas that don't normally get light. I also have no idea what the makeup of people are here. There's so many familiar faces and people that I've met at previous Moodle Moots, and it's good to see you here. Canada, as I was telling a couple of people, is one of my moots that I always try and make. So I have been to a lot of Canada moots over the years.
All of them, actually.
All of them. There was a while there when I thought we'd never get out of Edmonton. But, then there was Vancouver, and I remember we had a bunch of us having dinner in Vancouver, and I was asking, there's this whole French area of Canada. Shouldn't we be there? Wouldn't that be nice? So luckily, a bunch of people agreed. So I'm very, very happy to be here in Montreal. This is a place I wanted to visit for a long time. And some people I know who haven't been to a moot before are only here because it is local to you. So I'm really glad of that too. My French is terrible. C'est très mal. So I can understand a little better than I can speak, but I'm going to have to stick to English, I'm afraid, mostly. But who's got a question? Oh, wow.
Really,
straight there.
Let's treat you with icons on your face.
Okay. Let's
I'm an icon.
That's true.
Yeah, so any questions? Start trivial questions, big questions. Actually, before we do that, how many people here teach on a daily, weekly basis? Actually teach. We've got about anything. Anything. People, probably. If you're a dog trainer or something, not quite what does that. Okay, so that's about 10, 15 of you. How many teach primarily adults, like staff, more staff trainers? Almost the same people. How many of you teach students? Actual, 5, 6, 7 people. Okay. How many people here are more administrative, do admin stuff, servers, Moodle servers, Linux servers? Yeah, okay, it's about 10, 15 of you. Some overlap, good to see. How many of you are more developers, actual coders? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Okay. All right. So that's good. Is anybody else doing something weird with Moodle that we need to know about? Yeah.
Exploring learning interface.
Yeah. Sure. Analytics. Yes.
Even outside of courses.
Yep. That's a good thing. There's a lot more weirder uses of Moodle than that, I'm sure. But how many people here from university level? Hands. Yeah, almost everyone. Secondary school levels? 2, 6, 7, 8. Primary school levels? Teach primary school, anyone? 1? Hello?
There's something in between here.
Oh, middle school?
Secondary and university.
Well, what's the colleges, sort of?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
colleges.
It's called, we call them CEGEP.
CEGEP? I've never heard that
I wanted
before.
to raise my voice for all the CEGEPs.
Okay. How many CEGEPs? Okay, is it? Okay. All right, cool. All right, well, I've got a little bit. What I've learned is that we are completely we're completely everything here. We've got someone who does. So we actually, if we were brainstorming, we could pretty much come up with a good solution for something, which we may do. So, any questions? Anybody got something? I can talk about anything. My own background covers all those things pretty much. So,
Feature request we were talking about before the session started.
great.
Turning off forum postings, but leaving the forums visible so they can continue to be read. Is there? I don't know if it's been mentioned in the tracker. Why isn't this happening? It seems like a natural.
It's already there.
Yeah.
So you go to the permissions.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
So we don't want to let the teachers in the permissions. It's just too dangerous. We just want a forum saying that says
a button.
turn this off.
Right. Okay. Now, see, if everyone said that, forum would have 100 buttons, and it would be called the permission screen. There is no other way. You could probably shortcut it a little bit. You could make a role and maybe enforce that role on everybody, like a non-forum read-only role or something. And you could give everybody that role, and that would override it.
Couldn't you do it with the date settings? Like only let postings up to this date?
Is there a setting for that?
There's a date, though. You can restrict by date.
You can, yes.
But you only want to restrict the posting part of it.
Yeah, that would also hide it from reading as well. That's not quite effective. So, yeah, straight off, we're getting into why Moodle is complex. So, I can't answer any better than that. Now, what I can say, I hope, if we talk about feature requests, how you would get a feature request actually fixed. Should I talk about that a bit?
Yeah.
What the current methodology is for that? Yes. So there's a few ways. The first ways I'm describing have not changed in a decade. So if it's a small, if you're not a developer, your options are these. You go to the forums, probably the English forums, because most of the developer talk is in the English forums, even though there are French forums and all other languages on Moodle.org. But you could go to there'll be a forum in there about forums, and you might start a discussion. And there might be enough interested people to have a discussion about it, and they may give you a better solution or say, hey, there's a module that does that, or they might help you out of your problem another way. But assuming that there is no other way, that you haven't been able to find one in the plugins database or anywhere else on documentation or Googling or asking people, you need to go to the Moodle tracker. So on Moodle.org, up here is the button for the tracker. All the developer stuff is blue. And you should have an account on here if you want to do anything. How many people here have tracker accounts? Nobody on this side of the room. Interesting. So I will log in with my account just because then I can do things.
Wonder why.
Come on, what's going on here? I'm being forced to use Windows, which is not my. Oh wow, great. Ugh, can't spell my name correct. Oh, I really do feel like I'm back in the 90s with this thing. Okay. What? Maybe they are. No, they're not.
Or a French Canadian keyboard.
Yes, French keyboard.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Careful, just use the keyboard and then you change country. Change country. Oh, there's no show password option.
That's weird. I think it was that. And I should know better because I sometimes use a French keyboard. But anyway, here we go. So now in the tracker, it's a fantastic, very complex system. We have thousands and thousands of issues in there. The issues can be bugs or tasks or projects, or it can be big things or little things. Like everything that is everything in the Moodle project should be in the tracker. It should be tracked. But once we have everything in there, you've got things like dashboards. So this is a dashboard, my dashboard, where there's particular issues that I want to keep an eye on. So it's usually the first place I go and look. And you can create your own dashboards. There's things here you can add a gadget, say, and you can look at all these different gadgets for particular filters, heat maps for something. There's a million things to do in here, and it gets quite fun to explore. But let's go straight to one particular project, Moodle project. There are other projects in here, but the MDL project is the main one for everything to do with Moodle. And this is very slow for some reason. Wow. Okay. I don't know what that one is. I know who made it. We have someone who's really into numbers and a lawyer who watches. And when the big 50,000 came up, he grabbed it.
Solve the local problem.
Wow, this is looking really bizarre on the screen. What's going? Yeah, these are mostly joke issues because I've actually taken myself out of almost all the Moodle issues. Oh, come on. Oh, it's nearly dead. I don't know what's going on here. Is it the network or is it the size?
It's Firefox.
It's going to crash. Load.
Oh, wow. There it goes.
That's not what we want. What I want to look at is like components. So here we can sort of browse the components of Moodle, and there's many components covering different modules, different core functionalities, etc. There's a new one here, competencies. Got this new competency stuff we're working on. Any of those competencies developers working with Fred here? Yeah. Bit? Yeah. Ah, there you are. We have to talk. Yeah. All right. Fred says hello. So we have a lot of things here. Now you can browse this way. You'll see there's a lot of issues. So just on authentication, we got 1,385 issues open. A lot of these components will have that name by them. That's the person who's the component lead. So they're nominally the person in charge of that component. It doesn't mean they fix everything. It just means that they're the person who has some responsibility for that component. But you don't really have to worry about all that because there is a perfectly functional search, and you can start searching for, forum, start describing your problem, do some searches, and find things that way. And so the thing is, to do some searches, it does get a little overwhelming, say, especially something like forum.
There it is. Oh, discussion locking. Forum and discussion locking.
About where's that? Down the bottom?
Sign. Yeah, second from the top. No.
Did I?
Go back up.
Alright. I can hardly read the screen, actually.
Forum and discussion locking. Right. There it is.
Oh, that could be it.
That's the one we want.
New feature.
Right.
1.8.
Lock or fire forum.
Notice how it's monitored.
Well,
Done by-
don't pay too much attention to the priority.
32 votes.
The important things are some of this will all vary and be changed continuously. It's helpful to know who that person is, the reporter. She's an old-time Moodlers will recognise the name. She's been around on Moodle forums for a very long time. The votes are kind of useful. There's 32 votes. If you read through this description and you go, yes, I wholeheartedly agree, you can just hit vote for this issue and add your vote to that list. You can also just watch it, and that means anytime anybody changes this issue, you get an email. So you'll see comments, you'll see changes in status, etc. And this is a new thing we just added like last week. You can add it as a favorite if you just want to keep a list. If you just want to keep an eye on a few things specifically, that can be your favorite issues. Good question.
How does the voting really work? Like, do you really look at the votes?
We do look at the votes, but not only.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll just finish this and I'll actually get to that. So on this particular issue, you should read through it. There'll be a big discussion underneath. You can see related issues. There you go. Ability to set opening and closing dates on forums. It's related. And there's a bunch of people talking. And if you feel you have something to contribute, then please do. All of this is really helpful. The whole discussion can be helpful. Now, if it's a bug fix, if it's a small bug fix, then it really helps if it helps for it to go anywhere if it has code attached to it. If you're a developer and you're able to have a stab at solving that problem and you can put some code with it, here's a solution, right? This couple of lines need to be changed, or we just need to add something here. That really helps. And we do prioritize those when it comes to our team. If you can't do it yourself, you might find a developer who can do it. Because Moodle is open source and we are trying to let the energy of the crowd in here. So this is one way you can contribute with a fix. The other thing you can do, anyone can do, is kind of make some noise about this thing. So you might even take this issue back to the Moodle forums and say, look, this is really important. It's really hurting us here. We really need to do it. If you agree, come and vote. Get some people to vote on it. They may refine it. Another developer may come along with a better solution. And ultimately, what we like to see is something that's had a lot of discussion, is well formed, thought through, covers everybody's needs, and is sort of ready to go. At that point, with something that has a lot of votes and a lot of action and patch attached to it, is very high on the radar for Marina Glancy. Marina is our process coordinator. She's our triage person. Nice French word. She's responsible for kind of shepherding those sort of issues into our core development process. And so that really helps. Yes.
Is she here and where can I send her chocolate?
She's in Perth. She's a tall, blonde Russian woman and quite imposing. So Oh, she's lovely, lovely, lovely person. But I have to keep telling her to be more tough, actually, because yeah. I don't know. Give it a shot. It's one of the perks of the job.
So it's not just enough for us to go and do like we need one tracker item or one form. We should, if we have a real issue that affects our university or our experience, we should rally the others, our other colleagues, and let's get together and as a more of a, like we should rally each other and then get that up on Moodle as opposed to going individually.
Yes,
kind of
because as you can see, we have thousands of issues to look at, and we don't really know what's important, what's not important, what's affecting people. People in Canada have different issues than people in the US or people in Afghanistan. So, and we have a limited crew. We have a limited group of people. We can only deal with a small amount. So it's about prioritizing. We need the community to help us, tell us what's important. Of course, every issue is important to at least one person who made the time to put it in there, but it's about how many other people it can help.
I have been maintaining a well, it used to be 50 files, but it's down to about 36 as of Moodle 2.7 of Moodle files, PHP files that I fixed that are related to accessibility and language issues. I don't have time to go into here and create an issue for each little thing that I fixed. Is there a way that I can? And I'm tired of maintaining this every time we upgrade.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of zombies to look
after. It's not too bad with Git, but I'd rather contribute this back to the community and get these fixes integrated into Moodle. They're not necessarily bug fixes, but they do fix things like being able to use language tags in fields and stuff like that. In some cases,
like in titles of pages and things like that.
Yeah, things like that. Sometimes it's information that you enter. The field might not be wide enough. For example, field might be 50 characters, but when you start having multiple languages, that's not enough, especially if you're using the default multi-lang tags that are like.
So you're changing database fields?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Well, lengthen the database field, not necessarily change them in nature.
So, look, ideally what we'd want to see is a package saying, this is fixing field names for multi-language. The one patch that covers all those files should also include the logic to upgrade databases.
Yeah, well, I think that I've only come across one or two that had that problem, but in many cases it's just adding the what's it called filter text. No, not filter text.
The multi-lang.
The
support for the multi-language tags. Yeah.
Right, and adding those functions around the information.
Yeah.
But I don't have time to create a case for each one.
No, fair enough. No. So you would group them together. Yeah, you can have a patch.
Yeah.
If you can describe it in one line and it summarizes what it's all doing, then it can go into one issue.
And I want us to create a test case for each one, because that's why I've been maintaining it, because it's easier to maintain than to go and put hundreds of fixes up on a tracker. For something like that, you shouldn't. So we have a lot of automated testing now with BHAT. Right.
We have BHAT testing. Has anybody not heard of BHAT testing before? Everyone has? Oh, you haven't? Okay, so we have now when new Moodle code goes in, it comes associated with tests. They almost look like human instructions. They say, go to this page, look for this text in a button, press the button. You should see this link coming up next. Press that link, type in 2 into the field. It's like that. But this is something a machine can read. And we feed this into a Selenium system. A system can read that and actually use the Moodle site automatically. And it can see whether it works or doesn't work. So when we make a change in Moodle, we run all those tests, automated tests across all the pages, and we can see whether something broke or not.
Thank you for
It simplifies a lot of testing, and those tests. I have one guy just dedicated to testing, a test engineer, and he's just building that out, and then people are adding to it, and it's just getting huger and huger. In your case, I think those tests may cover it, but
they'll do the syntax checking and everything. And I do follow the Moodle standards as closely as I can, and it comes up, and I fix them.
Well, that's more the interface.
But about a year and a half ago, I stopped contributing fixes because I just didn't have enough time to do my work and do these fixes, and especially that it could take a really long time to get these fixes done. I put a patch out for Moodle 2.5 and it got put into 2.7 or 2.8.
Right.
And to maintain those patches over that period of time, and then as you get closer to the end, every week for 4 to 6 weeks, I'm asked to
rebase.
Yes.
Yeah.
I rebase my code, and I'm not great at Git.
Yeah.
And rebasing is iffy with me.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. And
it's a good skill.
Sometimes I actually blow away everything, and I have to And when I'm not maintaining multiple patches, it gets really complicated to rebase.
Sure. I mean, look, I can't guarantee everything's going to work, but
to the community,
I think you should.
I've seen in Moodle 2.9 the things I fixed are still not fixed. So
yeah,
I'd really like to get them back to the community.
Look, if you can package them together into one Git branch, that will really help.
Yeah, I can do that.
If you can, and I'll be very happy to give Marina some chocolates. And, to try and get the accessibility and usability stuff is really our focus right now. So,
yes, again, I've heard that at the developer meetings.
So if it helps for those, it really helps. And they don't sound like contentious issues. That said, once integrators get into it, you never know. But it doesn't sound so bad. Anyway, but the short answer is no, you don't have to have one issue for every single bit of that. You can bundle it together.
I can. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Fernando.
Curious, how many issues come into the tracker every year? How many are there? And how many get resolved every year?
I couldn't even tell you. There is probably a
percentage-wise
dashboard about it.
I guess what I'm saying is it overwhelmed? Like, is it kind of grown beyond its usefulness?
Let's see. One of these dashboards has probably got information. I can scroll through. All right, so we are keeping track of how long it takes us to respond. A lot of the issues are very old. Here we go. Issues fixed in the last 4 weeks.
That's okay. I'm not so much interested in
You
the
can
numbers,
actually
but your
hunt
sense about whether or not you feel like it's still a working model.
Yeah. Look, I'd say we're barely keeping up.
Yeah. There's
a lot of issues coming in. There's also a lot of issues that are no longer relevant. Right. Sort of falling off the back. There are a lot of duplicates. There's a lot of mess sometimes. It's complicated. That said, we have 30 developers and 30 people in the company, 30 odd people. We would love 100. I would love to have 100 to really cope with things. So we're doing quite a lot, but we're limited by how many people we have.
Okay, quick question about practical question.
Yeah.
You're going to send me to the roles, but I don't think there are roles for this. How do you get a private forum between a teacher and a student without having to create a group for each student and create a grouping? To me, that there are some parts of Moodle that you would think are very kind of intuitive.
Yeah, so we have messages for that.
Oh, messages. I was going to say.
And don't say you switch messages off, because no students talking to each other. No, messages is the functionality for that.
Yeah.
If a forum, by definition, is not a place where people talk in pairs only.
Or if you wanted to, well, it is for us. But yeah, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
There
is a dialogue module. I think someone's maintaining it that still does that too.
Yeah, no, not for 2.9, I don't think.
Oh, right, really?
We'll look for it. My last question is about site-wide groups. I know you kind of morphed that into cohorts.
Yeah.
But it still exists kind of as an abandoned kind of appendage on the front page. To me, the cohorts doesn't do the site-wide group thing. I don't know if you have an intention of revisiting that in the near future or any thoughts about site-wide groups.
The main thing, and I want to talk about roadmaps, and it's not me so much anymore. So I have things I want to push. The main thing that I think we should push with cohorts that a lot of people want is about this sort of multi-tenancy type thing, where you have people in cohorts, when they log into Moodle, they only see one category of courses. They get a theme just for them. They don't see the other people in other cohorts, and they effectively have their own little Moodle site, so that you can have a number of people on Moodle, one Moodle site with their own world, and they don't run into each other very much. That's a use case that a lot of people want to see, and cohorts is probably the best way to do that. Apart from that, I'm not sure what your use cases are. How do you want groups to work?
Yes, I'm looking for a function where you define groupings at the front page, and then those groups can be represented at the course level too.
That's possible with cohorts, yeah. You can enroll a cohort into a course and it becomes a group.
Right, but then you have to create, what was the limitation around it? I have to go back and see it, but I think the idea was to create these permanent groups at the beginning, at the front page, and then having them automatically get transferred. But you can do that with the cohorts.
Yeah, you can enroll a cohort.
Okay, I'll have to go back to that.
Yeah. Okay. Completing kind of where I was talking about small issue, we're talking about small bug fixes. If you've got a bigger thing, like a suggestion for a whole new feature or a whole new module or a whole new big functionality, maybe groups needs reworking or something, the process is a little different in that your first attention should be on developing a specification. You've got to specify the thing, and a few words is not going to cut it. It needs to be a document. It needs to have mock-ups. It needs to have use cases, different scenarios, different roles, how they will work, explanations of what sectors it's for, what country it's for, all that sort of stuff. And so building that specification is the job, and you may want to take that on, or maybe encourage someone else to take that on. You can use the Moodle Wiki for that, and there's many of our specs are in the Moodle Developer Wiki. You can use a Google Doc, you can use anything. But the important thing is to have an evolving document that at some point will settle down and become the spec. Then it goes into the tracker, or maybe you have a tracker item that links to that document, but the tracker item won't be looked at until the spec is kind of more or less complete. Nobody's going to start developing on a half-baked, vague idea. It's not going to go anywhere. It has to be pretty solid. So a lot of people have taken that approach, and the problem then becomes who's going to write the code, right? So as I mentioned with resources, our own resources mostly cover the smaller things. We only get a few new features in now and then. And so we've come up with a new way to handle this. How many people here have heard of the Moodle Association? About half of you. Okay. Well, we've started a new Moodle Association. It's just starting. I'll talk about this more tomorrow, but I did want to mention it now because So this is a separate organisation from my company, Moodle Proprietary Limited. This is a non-profit association. Once we launch it, we're going to step back and not run it, not even hardly be involved, actually. It's a user association. I hope that's probably unrelated. It's good you're enjoying yourself. So there's this is separate. This is going to be for mostly institutions. If you look here under membership, the association members, Australian dollars are pretty much like Canadian dollars. They're colourful and you can buy things with them. But they're also roughly equal. Sorry, what?
So sorry.
What? It's okay. So we've got these levels of membership. So an individual, any individual can just join for $100 a year, and that gives you 100 points. Or organisations can join for 10,000 a year and get 10,000 points. And you also can allow multiple people in. So if you're an organisation who's a member, you may have up to 10 people you want to invite in with you, and you get access into this site. What the association does is it works on these 6 monthly periods of building specifications together for new things, and then at the end, voting on all the specifications that are lined up, just like last night. The voting, I mean, not specifications. You have points. So if you've got 10,000 points, it's just like a roulette table. Basically push 1,000 onto that project and 5,000 onto that project, and you allocate your points according to your priorities. All of those points get added up. It's like a 1-month election, shorter than the Canadian election period. And at the end of that, we have a nice deterministic process, what projects the association wants. They take all the membership money and they push it onto the first project, the second project, the third project until run out of money. That money goes to Moodle HQ. Our developers build that thing. It goes into Moodle Core for the next release, and everybody gets it. Questions? No?
But you said that you guys don't have any part of this, though. So
Nope.
There's no Moodle input.
It'll have its own committee. The committee will be elected by the members. It has it's like associations have a rigid rules that governs them, so it's self-running. Our only input will be to come in and quote on things. So we'll say whether this is $5,000 project or a $200,000 project, give a rough estimate so that people know, because developers, non-developers don't always know how difficult something is. It may look easy, might involve changing half of Moodle to make it happen, or vice versa. So our involvement will be limited to that. We'll be coming in saying, that's a big thing, that's a small thing, it's about this much. Then people vote, and we get basically contracted, and we're just going to do whatever the association tells us to do.
What if the association gets hijacked by
Who?
I don't know, some organization, Stephen Harper.
No, who did you say? Stephen Harper. Well, okay, so Stephen Harper, if he wants, he can come in at $10,000. He gets 10,000 points. He can't. There's nothing higher than that.
You can't buy multiple members.
No, one organisation.
One for a sweater.
Yeah. And look, if somebody's putting $1 million into the association, then great. Great.
But you don't anticipate there would be anything that you would have to kind of project as something that?
No. So we've made a little rule. There's a limitation. Members, people who can't be members, are people who are LMSs. Right?
What?
Another learning management system, say, for example. Any e-learning system companies can't be members. anybody who does services around e-learning companies can't be members. So even Moodle partners, sorry, Kathy and Francis, if you're here, Moodle partners, non-Moodle partners, no e-learning, sorry, you probably can't even do any of that. We're just keeping that out because it's about users, it's about, we expect mostly universities, schools, school districts. I don't know how many individual teachers might want to join, but it all helps. The system we've built already in here, the voting system, I can probably, I'm not on my computer, so let's see if I can get in here. Give you a quick sneaky preview.
Is it because Moodle.org is becoming too unwieldy? In terms of requests and this and that, with the forms and the tracker? Is this kind of your idea how to get all that out of there? It's something more productive?
Yeah, it's not replacing it, it's adding to it. But yes, this is the problem. On Moodle.org, there's a lot of people going, I should have this, we should have that, exactly. We should build this. And the question comes, well, who's going to pay for that, right?
So it's kind of your idea.
This is a sort of a crowdfunding model that is deterministic. And at the end, we always arrive at things being funded and done in core. And the nice thing from my point of view is I have visibility to the future, knowing what projects are coming, how big they are. And so I can have staffing, I can have core developers who are trained. It takes months to get a Moodle developer really up to speed. So I can have a team of developers with known funding coming in to pay for them, and we all get open source at the end of it. So you have to be creative when you're trying to run a business on free software. I do not know my password on this thing anymore. I might show you tomorrow. Maybe it's the same problem with the keyboard. Let's see.
Need a password manager.
Yeah, I do. That's my problem. I have a password system in my head as well, but I don't think it's the same on this site. I've been very careful to not give myself much access, obviously. But anyway, what I was saying was we've largely automated the whole voting process. We built a new course format. So every section becomes a project, and each section can have forums and specification wikis and things like that in there. It doesn't have to be in there. The specifications can be on Moodle Docs or a Google Doc or somewhere in the public. It's okay. The whole Moodle community can be involved. But in the end, if someone's responsible and says, this is the specification I'm putting forward to the association to vote on. Can I plug that in here? What will happen?
I'm sharing the desktop right now, so everybody remote can see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but even if I plug into here, it won't be shared. No,
It
yeah.
won't be shared. Yeah. We need a little bit more time, so this was the easiest.
Okay. How many people are online? Like 2?
Actually, you go to the first tab.
Okay.
Here's some questions.
Oh, is there?
There are about 14 people.
Oh, hello, 14 people.
And there's a few questions, one from SunWest DLC there.
Yeah. I'll come back to these points in a bit. I really want to show this association thing.
Go ahead and show.
Yeah.
We can broadcast it here.
Let me show you.
It'll be on the video side.
Let's see.
Do you have VGA out with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's plug in there. And I'll pick it up with the webcam here. It won't be super clear, but they'll be able to see a bit.
So all the money from the association goes into Moodle.com?
Yes, it'll go towards us to do core software. So everything that happens will be GPL open source, part of Moodle Core. Actually, no. Oh, I'm not on the internet, that's why. Oh, great.
You got it.
Yeah. Come on, internet.
Yeah.
There we go.
You could just zoom in a bit, make the font pretty large. Great.
Too big?
No, that's good. That's actually good.
All right. So right at the moment, even though this hasn't formally launched, the non-profit is still going through red tape, bureaucracy, getting that started. But we've already got an advanced group of people who are actually running a first cycle as a bit of a test. And so you can see here in this this interface, we've got the projects developing here, and votes and tags. We've got a new tagging system to so you can sort of just see all the enrollment plugins here. And here's the voting summary at the moment. So the voting is basically on all the time. So the whole time you can just allocate your points wherever. So people will get an idea of what's popular quite early on. That kind of helps, I think, people, if they have very little time, what they might focus on helping with. If something looks like it's got no votes quite earlier on, maybe the idea, just the basic idea, is not very popular. So there's no point in wasting a lot of time writing a massive spec for it if not many people are interested.
A vote is a point?
A vote is a point. So yeah, if you're an individual, you get 100 points. And yeah.
Where do the development ideas come from, Martin? Like, does the guy with 10 grand, does he come along?
Any
with an
member.
idea?
Any member at all, even a 100-point teacher.
So if he wants to put all his 10,000 votes on his idea, then
Sure.
he has a very powerful kind of presence there, right?
One 10,000-point organization.
So you're looking at how many, like 1 million people? With 1 million points?
Not 1 million, but I think we're going to very easily get a couple of hundred organizations next year. You know, so that's one individual organization won't have a lot of weight. So we'll be. It's kind of going to be quite a democratic process, I hope. It's an experiment. I don't think anything quite like this has been done before. This isn't your normal crowdfunding. It's a
Also,
little
I'm trying to
more.
work my head around it, how it would work. Like, say, for example, you've got your big institution putting a lot of money into this.
Yeah.
Say, I've got this idea, I really need it for my institution. I'm going to invest, $10,000, put all my votes toward it, and then get it developed. Then you have the smaller institutions that might.
$10,000 is not a lot when it comes to development.
Yeah.
It doesn't get you much.
So if it does develop, that's
If-
about it.
Yeah, versus, but I'm saying in comparison to the institution that goes in that invests $500, 500 points, saying, I have an idea, but I'm a small investor. So
There is a bit of a lottery on it. This is
So-
for the people who want to contribute, want to have some influence.
Yeah.
Then it's going to work.
Yeah.
It's kind of a crowdfunding. It's always like that with crowdfunding.
Yeah.
If you have $100,000 and you want something built yourself, just go and do it. Like you do that now,
Yeah.
right? That's what you would do now.
So, again, to wrap my head around this,
Yeah.
when you do put your money in to get your points, do you, as a requirement, do you have to put in a new development idea as well? Or can you just get
No.
and search and pick whatever you want?
Yeah, no, you don't have to propose anything, not at all. Otherwise, we'd have
Yeah.
hundreds of projects
Yeah.
and it would get unwieldy.
What about if there's an idea that never quite gets done? Does it just stay there?
So this is where the committee comes in. The committee will be in charge of kind of cleaning up and rolling things over into the next cycle. It's quite nice. We just use Moodle course backup and restore or import to do that because this is now a course, all this thing. So to get the projects to the next cycle, you just go into a new course, reset things, and you get a restart.
Do you get those points back?
Yes.
You do get it back.
Yes, it's redone every cycle.
So the advantage of doing this rather than going and spending the money developing on your own,
Yeah.
assuming you have 50,000, is this is going to change core.
Yeah.
Right.
This goes into core, guaranteed.
So,
Stuff will go into core.
right. Whereas if you spend the money to develop something on your own, change version.
Then you have to go through that quite long process to get it into core. And now this, the money is to pay for that long process to get into core. And remember, these are just specifications. They may have some code that someone developed as a prototype, and we'll take that code and work with it. But most of the time, it'll just be an explanation of what to do, and we'll develop it from scratch. Yeah. So now, one of the projects, now answering one of the questions online was about mentor or parent support. I was just talking with Fernando about this in the last session a little bit. One of my personal top wishes that I wish was in here, and maybe I'll become a $100 member and suggest that, is to have a full parent support in Moodle. I know it's not so big for tertiary level, but for schools and for companies, that kind of mentor access is important, and Moodle does it terribly right now. It has some basic support, but it's very unwieldy, so that would be one. But that's just my own personal idea, and you may have your, look at that. I didn't even see that. Who put that in? Malcolm Beasley. Good on you, Malcolm. I don't know if he started working on his specification yet. Let's see. Has. Okay. So just getting started. Now, they don't, like I said, don't have to be in here. They can be out anywhere. It's linked to. But now, my point of showing you all this is that the point of this is all going to be fairly automated. So the costs of running the association are very low, very, very low. 99% of all the money will go into actual development. A little bit there'll be to accounting. People are going to want invoicing. We've automated the invoicing. So when you sign up as a member, it uses something called Xero. Does anyone know Xero? It's an accounting system. Publishes invoices to you, handles payments, all kinds of payments, checks and crazy stuff. It's as automated as much as we can make it, so that it doesn't waste money on that stuff. But
what about you said it's with the committee members, so how long will they sit on the committee for?
1 year, and there's a vote every year too. So Stephen Harper may be interested. I don't know. There's a chairman, a chairperson, a secretary, a treasurer, all the normal roles you have in associations. Yeah.
You could take existing plugins and pop them in here.
Absolutely could. And it really works best if there are prototypes, if there is a start. People can already see it and try it and get to know it better. It makes the spec more rich, if you like. It's a working spec. So yeah. And the final part of this is linking, and I'll talk about this more tomorrow, but this links to all the other things happening in the Moodle community. So maybe it's a forum discussion on Moodle.org, and it gets quite good, and people are going, yeah, this is a really good idea. Let's suggest it to the association. It's just a vehicle to deal with it then. Or at a moot, we're having a discussion over drinks, and we come up with something, or it turns into a working group, and we really design something here, and then let's carry this now online into the association as a place to complete that. Rather than, so often what happens, we have these discussions, we come up with good ideas, and they go nowhere. They end up on the tracker, they end up forgotten, we'll go home or whatever. I hate that. So anyway, that's one of the things. I'll switch back to the other machine for you online folks. All right. So yeah. What I'm really hoping actually is that Moodle HQ becomes more like a contract for hire for the community. We're like a resource for the community to develop what the community wants. That's always been my plan. It's just that up till now, I had to synthesize what people are talking about into a roadmap. I'm just like one person, and there's so much stuff, as you can see in the tracker, going on. There's great developments like yours. I've never really been able to engage with them because there's just not enough time. But what I hope is that we become more passive. We let the community tell us what the roadmap is and just push it to us with funding, and we do it. The Moodle partners also have their own roadmap. The Moodle partners are also funding us. The Moodle partners are funding everything right now. That doesn't stop, and that continues as well. The partners are the ones who pay for all the bug fixing, all the quality assurance, all the testing, all the really important work that needs to happen that isn't sexy enough for anyone to pay for. Right? Nobody says, oh yeah, I'll give you some money to do some QA testing. It's like, no one's interested, right? The partners are the ones covering that. They're the ones who do all that hard stuff. They also have a roadmap of features they want as well, and we'll be working on that with them. This is an additional thing, and that means we get more developers, more progress, Moodle moves faster, and we keep up with all the other things happening on the internet. So anyway, it's a very long question. I can't even remember where that question started. Just me having a... So it's what we said to these people who are doing the this first trial is you have $10,000. So none of them are paid anything at all because they're helping us test it. But we've allocated $10,000. So they're supposed to come up with $10,000 projects. So it is sort of active. It's kind of working. But at the end of the year, that's when it really switches on. And we'll be having members joining properly. And then the first cycle will be January to June. Yeah. So exciting little change for the Moodle community there. Does anybody think their institution might be interested in becoming a member? No pressure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because if I come back to my boss and I tell him I want $10,000,
Yeah.
he's gonna ask me, well, okay, you're gonna spend it, and how will it benefit to us? So of course I'm understanding that I will buy some influence. But there is no guarantee that at the end of the year, my influence will have succeeded in developing anything that I would have wished.
Yep. So I had a very interesting example of this. I was in Germany. Geez, was it earlier this year? Yes, it was. So I was in Germany. We had 20 universities represented in the room. It was just a particular meeting of these German universities. And they said exactly the same thing. They're going, except in a German accent. And I said, let's do an experiment. Let's do a little simulation. So we all brainstormed. We got everyone to brainstorm what their own project ideas were individually. And then on we had a blackboard, good old-fashioned technology, and we got everyone to come up and write down just the title of what they wanted, the project. And if it was already on the board, just to add a mark next to it, to add like a vote. And at the end, we picked the top 3 things to work on. And I went around everybody in the room. I said, are you happy if we work on those 3 things? And everybody in the room was happy. Because even if it wasn't what they first suggested, it was in some way, it was going to help them. And it was, they felt, they sold on it. I think I should probably do this everywhere I go because there is some commonality in what we want, and I think there'll be a lot more overlap than you might suspect.
You should have
But there is no 100% guarantee. But it's only 10,000. I mean, how much?
No, I don't mind because it's coming out for a good cause and everything. It's just that once you go to the accounting department and the boss's department, then you need either to be very persuasive or very charming, because otherwise
you look like you can be both. You can be both. I know it. Yeah. Best of luck. I think. I mean, part of this came out of when we had to we asked for donations last year. We got almost nothing. In fact, I think we spent more money asking for donations than what we got. And a lot of people said to me, universities can't give money for nothing. We can't do that. But we can sign up to be members of things. So you're a member of the association. And that's
So at this point, maybe I just don't tell him why it's for.
sure. I mean, how much do you spend on library subscriptions? I don't know, probably millions or something.
Do you remember the first days of Moodle where there was a lot of talk about how to sell Moodle to your organization? Why should my organization use Moodle?
Yeah.
And there were discussions and there were write-ups on selling Moodle. We should do the same thing for this.
We have a video planned. We have a little video you can
so
use.
that we can, sell it to our organization.
Yeah.
Say, because we just as, administrators or teachers or whatever, don't really probably have the, expertise to go and do that. But if there is something we could use to do that.
Tell us what you need. I mean,
Maybe what you said, but do it in a nice document. And,
yeah.
present it.
Try in French.
We have a lot of French speakers in the office now. Actually, we have a Montreal native who's just moved back to Perth. Mathieu Petitclerc. Anyone know him? Yes. He's back in Perth, so yeah, he can help with the French. And Frederick.
I wonder if it would help if people got credit. Like, is there a list of credits who supported what? If something goes into core, I think a big part of it is for me to go back to my organization and say we're on that list. We're officially, we funded development of this.
Well,
and it's
there
just
will
a
be
simple thing of putting in a name.
There will be a public list of members. You can opt out of it. There's a public list of members on the website. This is already done. It's just not showing yet.
Right.
So there'll be like a long list of members. For each individual project, I think we need some way to thank the primary contributors. I'm not sure how, because
it would be a good thing just for bookkeeping for the universities and organizations to say, this is proof that we committed money to this place.
Well, certainly whoever project managed that project would definitely get a mention. Whoever suggested it and built the spec, because someone needs to. If you start a project, you basically volunteered yourself to coordinate it, right? So that person deserves kudos for sure. You couldn't list all the people who voted for it. Maybe you could. Why not? Why not?
Well, because essentially
long scrolling page.
They paid for it. They paid for it.
Yeah, sure.
They're funders.
Yeah, actually, that'd be very easy to do because it's all that data's in the database, and we just do that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. Listed in order of how much they contributed by points. Sure. Although, the points are not. It's not quite a direct relationship like that, but yeah, could do something. So it didn't just mean to stick on the Moodle Association, but it's quite exciting. We've been spending quite a bit of time getting this all set up. This image of the people was kind of a bit weird. It's going away soon. There's a much better one coming soon. New graphic. The thing is, they're all standing by themselves. They're not associating, actually. I said to the graphic designer, so he's gone away and done a much better thing where they're all actually coming together. That's what the logo is. Can you see it's sort of 3 arrows coming together, flying. Okay, any other questions? Let's go back online and see what we have. I talked about the parent stuff. Oh, that's it. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Yes.
In BC, we are quite involved in an open textbook initiative, and we also find ourselves constantly under almost attack from publishers who are desperate to kind of have tight integrations with Moodle for their products. So we'd like to kind of see it just as easy for somebody to adopt an open textbook as it is to adopt a publisher's textbook. Any thoughts about how we can make that?
What's the name of this project?
BC Campus has funded the development of about 40 or even more open textbooks for highly enrolled courses across BC.
And how would you want to?
Like the publishers always have these things that connect the textbooks directly into Moodle. We'd like to see something that made it just as easy to connect an open textbook.
Well, so would I. It's probably not even very hard.
Yes.
Well, that's one way. I mean, if you can't.
$10,000, right?
What's what's going on here. What? That's not a thing.
Shift 3 or 4.
Shift. Wow, that makes life difficult. So there is, I'll just see what's under repositories here. So that would be the way I'd imagine you'd want to integrate it. Lots of things here. Ah, Uhu. Is anyone from Uhu here?
They'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, right, cool. See those guys. So there's quite a lot of things. So basically what you need is a little plug-in like this. It could sit in here. Now developing that is probably not a lot of work.
And the other thing that comes up is publishers, of course, have all the ancillary, what one of our faculty members calls them gateway drugs into the textbooks. So they have like the test banks and the PowerPoints and the packages that go with them. So other things of getting groups together to create the ancillary supplementary materials and having those just as easily embedded in the Amazon.
Yeah, so for data content, you've got to go to moodle.net. And this is going to get a big upgrade soon. So most of Moodle.net is about downloading courses, rolling in courses. So you could search for different courses in here and get them. But there is also things like quizzes. So people are posting quiz databases here. That's currently the best place we have. It needs to be a lot more built in. I'd love to see it in the quiz module itself. When you're looking at quiz databases, you go, oh, there's some more public ones, open resources, which you can just grab and it just comes in. That would be a really great thing for the association to build. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Any word on Tin Can?
Experience API, it's called now. So there's two aspects to that. One is, should Moodle publish its actions out to a learning, what's it called, LRS, learning repository system? And I think the answer is clearly yes. Probably should. So someone has been working on that. I think there's a plugin that listens to events that happen and converts the events.
Can you give us some background?
Sorry?
Engagement analytics.
Oh, right. So what this is, yes, sorry. So what this is a standard that's extensive. It started out coming out of SCORM evolving, but it's turned into a basic mechanism for passing actions or logs, basically logs, from one system to another. So the idea is that when a student does something in this activity, maybe it's a SCORM or maybe it's a forum. So the action that they do might be, Martin posted to this forum. That message goes out in a standard format into a repository of this information, so, which could be outside of Moodle. And so you can imagine all those Moodle actions that happen all go to this system, but it wouldn't just be Moodle. If they go to YouTube or something, assuming YouTube support this standard, which they've given no indication that they would, but that's the theory, then you would say, Martin watched this video, and that data would be able to stream into your repository as well. And so in this way, you would collect all the logs of all the systems that students had used, put them into a central repository, and you use that for analytics to study what the student's doing and how they're doing it, and so on. That's the theory. I very much doubt it's going to get there, but there's no reason for Moodle not to support it and give it a go. I've seen so many standards come and go in my time, but this one people seem to be quite interested in. So,
are you talking more about shipping the logs to an external? My understanding was, would this, instead of shipping the logs out to whatever companies, that they can manage the logs.
No, it's real-time messages, real-time.
But it's stored somewhere. Like the activities,
Yeah.
the hours of learning, whatever they are stored in the learning record store.
Yeah.
Was there ever talk about making a learning record store within Moodle so you don't have to
Yes.
ship it?
So I started out saying there's two sides. So the first side is publishing. The second side is should Moodle have a learning record store in it? I'm not super keen on building that. I can see 1,000 other things we should do first. But anybody could build that. Moodle Association.
The reason I'm speaking of that is because I know that we have a lot of concerns about shipping this data
Oh, absolutely.
out
Sure.
of our control.
But Moodle already has a very powerful log system. Analytics can directly access that. We have a pluggable logging system. You can make plugins that take the events and push them into anything you want, right? Push them into a Tableau server or something and analyze them. There's a lot of business intelligence software, all sorts of things for analyzing stuff. This particular standard is actually, the information is pretty weak. And I'm not sure it's the best. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time building a LRS for Moodle when it's not even sure if it's going to be any more useful than what we have. So, yeah.
If you could, like, if somebody was interested in doing the like analytics engagement, analytics things, or something you would recommend.
Well, no, that's a different story. Analytics is very important, and Moodle should be doing it, and should be doing it natively. Yeah, this is a particular standard for sharing that information. But Moodle already has various analytics, not necessarily what you'd expect. So we have lots of reports, we have graphs, we have survey tools, we have lots of ways to find out what's going on with individuals and with groups. And that should evolve and continue. A lot of people are writing plugins, integrating with other systems. The thing in analytics.
Do you know of anything right now, a plugin that is recommended to take that data and enhance it into more engagement?
So when you say analytics, it covers a broad range of goals.
Okay.
Some people want to look and catch students at risk for early intervention. Some people want to have more studying what's going on in the environment for reporting to government entities or whatever. Alexander Enkley over there probably knows a lot more about this than me. Yes, I'm sure you do. Talk to him. He's got a very lovely beard and he knows a lot about analytics. There's a lot of things happening in the analytics world. Mostly there's people saying we should have more analytics, and I'm not seeing very clear. This is why I come to these conferences, because I want to learn from you what you think Moodle should be doing.
Well, it's for us, for our university. In fact, there's a project that's happening right now in terms of student engagement.
Yep.
And so one of our instructors has got released some money to take he's a very strong Moodle user, and so all the data that he has, take that data and let's try to figure out how to present, like you said, students in trouble, like finding out where they're, not quite.
Yeah. The difficulty when you get in that space is that courses are all individual.
Yeah.
And a lot of the very useful analytics are tuned to that course. And so you can't write something generic that's going to work with your class and your class and your class. You kind of need the teacher to sit down and go, these are the things I want to hear about. These are the things I want to, and you have to program it somewhat. And most teachers with Moodle are having trouble getting beyond putting PDFs and a little quiz.
No,
And
that's what I mean.
right.
It's not for the teacher to do. Obviously, some sort of a tool where.
Yeah. I know everyone can see the potential, but when you actually drill into it, it's really hard to see exactly what it should be. From this is how I come. In my vision, my vision is this thing should be kind of telling me all the time little hints about what I should be doing. So if I'm a student, you should be saying, "Hey, your assignment's coming up in a week. Have you at least started it?" Right? Maybe. In your last quiz, you didn't do so well because of whatever reasons you can determine from the logs. the next quiz is coming up. You should probably do some more study, etc. That sort of encouraging engagement. As a teacher, you should be getting little notifications saying, there's a discussion just going off right now in your course. There's been 20 posts in half an hour. You should log in now and join in this discussion. Here's the button, click, takes you in there. Or this student hasn't logged in 3 weeks. They look like they're at risk based on previous student data. You should probably give them a call. Here's their phone number. And you give them a call. Right, so that's what this thing should be doing with Moodle. That's how I kind of imagine it. But when you're actually trying to implement that, you have to program it all.
Yeah.
Moodle itself cannot determine any of those things. So someone needs to program it for each course, for each teacher, and it gets tricky. And I haven't seen anyone solve that to make it more automatic. It's a research area. It's a big research
Are you
area.
familiar with the engagement analytics plugin?
Is that like the traffic light
It
thing?
was up, they brought conversion to 7 because of the change in the logging.
Yeah, and that's a nice, good start,
So that
simple
was a good-
start.
Because that's something we're looking at adopting. Working. But,
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it kind of gives everybody a traffic light, and you can set some of the parameters based on how many forum posts or how many times they logged in and a few things like that. But yeah, if we want really computer-aided teaching and computer-aided learning, the systems have got to get a lot smarter, and it's a very active research field. But Moodle's the perfect tool for it because it's open. We have all this data. I mean, we have a lot of data in the logs and the events. And the reason for rewriting the events was specifically to allow this kind of thing, which we did, back in 2.7. So, but we still haven't got there with the analytics because we're just kind of getting the data there and we're waiting to see how people use it. Yeah, no, it's a very interesting area. I think it has a lot of potential. Have I got a time limit? I don't know what time it is.
It's about 15 minutes.
Oh, good. 30 minutes, yes.
I saw the message plugin and compare it to our LMS, and I find it a little weak. And
For messaging?
Yeah, messaging.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were wondering as a team why it's so awful. And each time we check the Moodle developer meeting, we hope that sometime it will pop up.
Yeah.
Is there a mystery? Why do you work on this?
Look, I tell you what will happen there. Have you used the messaging on the Moodle mobile app?
No, not yet.
It looks good, right? It looks like iMessage, like Telegram, like WhatsApp. It has that same. It looks like a normal messaging app,
Yeah.
right? And the general plan with Moodle user interface is to move the mobile interface onto the web interface.
Okay.
Yeah, the mobile interface is kind of our test bed for new, simple, nice interfaces, and that's our general trend. So I think messaging should be quite soon. Should get that overhaul. Yeah, there's a lot of history in the messaging. There's like 3 developers who took it on at different times, and they all had different ideas. And it ended up being this weird mishmash. It doesn't look like anything else. And actually, most universities tell me they don't like messaging anyway, and they turn it off. Like they don't allow messaging between students. So maybe that's another reason there's not been a lot of pressure to fix it earlier. No, I agree with you. I hate it too.
That's why you need private forums.
It works really well on mobile. You should try it. You can get notifications. Does anyone else want to ask someone anything? Yep.
I just noticed this before coming to Montreal. Have you heard anybody having problems with SCORM courses in its own window on iOS? Where the problem is that it's not detecting the size of the screen properly, and this is only since iOS 9
what I can tell you is we're just starting on SCORM support in the mobile app. Yeah, that should be done soon. Someone's actually paying us for that.
Will that be integrated into Moodle?
Have not signed that contract yet. But I still be into Moodle, yeah.
Okay.
But as the iOS, I don't know how the window works on iOS. I don't know about that. No. The SCORM file has to be HTML5, right? You realize
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yes, and it works in iOS 8 with Safari, but not in 9. In 9, it shrinks everything.
Oh, really?
Small. Yeah.
Oh, right. So it's Apple product. Yeah. No, I don't know about that.
No, okay.
See, this is where you go to the tracker and you have a little search.
Yeah, I didn't find anything in the tracker, and I didn't have time to write up a bug report because I want to make sure that it's actually not something I'm doing wrong before I report it.
Yeah. Well, if it's not on the tracker, then it's not known.
But it is known about iOS 9 that it has problems with media queries.
Right. Yeah. Well, that should be fixed. We spend a lot of our time talking about how partners pay for these non-sexy things. This is something, we do a whole lot of work to make it look exactly the same. And it's because of Apple, right? Yeah, and that happens all the time. We spend a lot of our time just keeping things the same. So it's just necessary in this environment. You know all about that. Yeah. No, you've already. Just anyone else? Then I'll come back to you. Anyone else?
Kind of a fun question. Is there parts of Moodle that you wrote 10 years ago or that are still there and pretty much unchanged?
There's quite a lot of it. There's quite a lot of it sitting there. You can look at, go to moodle.org/dev. We have this nice little automated credits thing here. These are all the people who've had code put into Moodle. The size of their name is to do with their size of their contributions over time. And there is a... So, well, I still have the most commits up there. Now, granted, that's cheating a bit because in the early days, it was just me. I didn't have reviewers. I was just checking things in like every few minutes, right? So that's a bit of a cheat. But no, there's still quite a lot of code there, despite the attempts of most of my employees to erase it. There's still a lot of it there. I was talking with someone earlier, but in the early days with Moodle, even though we had object-oriented techniques, I avoided it because I wrote things simply, like functional, very straightforward code. And Moodle got successful, I think, in the early days, primarily because of this simplicity. It was very easy to hack. I knew English teachers who started to learn to program, like Tom Murdoch. Anyone know Tom Murdoch? He was an English teacher. He started doing a bit of hacking here and there and started Moodle rooms in the end. And it was this hackability of it. But now all my developers are like, oh no, we have to use all namespaces and the latest auto-loading stuff and all these new techniques, modern programming techniques. And so when you're new and you come to Moodle, there's when you first look at the code, there's all these new techniques and quite shiny, clean looking objects and stuff, but quite heavy stuff. And then when you dig a bit deeper, there's this strata underneath of my old stuff still sitting there, and it's all sort of merged together. But yeah, that's why it takes a couple of months for developers to really get up to speed with Moodle. If I was starting again, I would do things quite differently, but we don't have that luxury. We have 2 million lines of code, and it all needs to fit together, and it's going really well. It's amazing, actually. A lot of the things that would have been problems. So this large size of the code might be a performance problem, but the hardware is just gone through the roof. So, you know, Moodle Cloud I'm running 11,000 Moodle sites on Moodle Cloud. And you can just do that now because you want a new server, you just press a button and you get one. So in a way, it takes away a lot of the problems there would have been because you can just throw more machines at it. Yeah. Anyone who hasn't asked a question yet? Did you? Yes.
Well, speaking about performance, it's nice saying, you know, you could just add or throw servers at the problem. But in some instances,
It is nice
it's not an issue. So, is there any work being done on ensuring performance tuning?
There's a load. There's actually lots and lots. This test engineer I told you about, he spends most of his time on performance testing. So every night, those automatic interface tests, the BHAT tests I was talking about, they run every night, and we have statistics showing how fast it all is, how fast certain things are. And if somebody checks in a new bit of code this week, it'll show up in a couple of days on those graphs, and we know immediately something's wrong, way before it gets to release. So we catch a lot of things early that way. And it's getting more and more sophisticated. The data sets are getting more. We have a fake Moodle site. We can build a fake Moodle site. You just go, you know, make a fake Moodle site. And it creates thousands of courses and millions of users and activities and puts them all in activities and just builds the whole structure and then just tests the heck out of it every time. So also in doing things like Moodle Cloud, we've had to optimize a lot of Moodle for clusters, things like that. So it's very, very redundant, our cloud system. So you can just turn off anything and everything, you don't lose any data, everything keeps working. So we have, you know, loads of different clusters, web clusters, database clusters, all kinds of things. And we had to rewrite things like the file system to deal when you're reading and writing files to handle those kind of scenarios. Sessions. There's a document about tuning Moodle, and there's a lot of tips in there, using things like the Moodle Universal Cache. And with that, you can do quite a lot. But there's also a lot of config commands you can put in the config file that will store temporary files in certain places and so on. And there's quite a lot of tweaking you can do with Moodle for those big sites that you probably have. So if all that fails, just throw another machine at it.
That's awesome. I'll come out this and then you said something.
Yeah. No, there is quite a lot. Our partners particularly have thousands of Moodle clients as well, and they're always running into these performance problems and asking us to fix things, and we do. Over the years, yeah.
Or have you guys done any work on creating some kind of core audio recorder? We have lots of language courses, and people do a lot of submitting assignments using different languages. And we're using Anagon, but it's always such a hassle.
Yeah, we built one. It's actually came up on the screen before. It's in the repository.
Or is it just play?
It records.
It records?
Yeah. It's a repository plugin. We built it and it was meant to go in core, and actually I don't know why it hasn't.
Yeah, I've been struggling for years.
It's called Media.
Is it an HTML5?
Yes. It actually does everything. It falls back. So if you don't have HTML5, it falls back to Flash and falls
and
back to...
also, because you can configure those to play many different types of files as well, right?
Well, this doesn't play, it just records.
Oh, it just records.
So it's actually a repository plugin.
And does it record in MP3 format so that if you need a playback, it's MP3, right?
Yes. So you have the MP3 filter.
Yeah.
And that will make a playable button.
Okay.
Also, videos are shown using the, I forget what the player's called, but we've got a video player as well.
So did the two integrate as a player recorder, or are they two separate?
They're separate.
So,
So what the recorder is that you, at any point in the text, you say, I want to add a media file.
Yeah.
You go to the repository, you select the record one, there is a recording repository, and then in that dialog box, you've got your record buttons for video and audio. And then it gets saved into Moodle and a link gets sent back to your text. The link is put in your text. And when it's shown later, the filter converts the link into a player. Yeah.
So this is a repository plugin, so it doesn't appear in the editor, correct?
No, not in the editor natively.
Yeah, that's what I think we're talking about, something, a plugin that you can use in the actual.
Yeah.
Something a bit more portable that you could put in.
Somebody may have written an Atto plugin.
Like Nanagon goes into an activity, if there's a Nanagon activity, there's also a Nanagon filter that goes into the HTML editor, right? Which is very handy, right? You can just add something to an assignment.
Moodle integrates with assignments, it integrates well.
This is one, that's not our one actually, that's someone else's. That gives you an idea. So this one, that just lets you do audio recordings. But it's the same concept, it's just a repository.
Right, okay, yeah. So that's limiting it to going into that repository area. We're looking for something that could be embedded into the editor or into an assignment.
Poodle. Poodle
Yeah,
does it
Poodle can
beautifully.
do that.
Yeah, Poodle's probably your
But I
best
mean,
bet.
something core, something you don't have to depend on somebody outside.
$10,000.
More than that.
Come to the association.
Yeah, if the association, if the association says, argues Poodle should be in core, we're just going to listen to that. We'll just do it. Yeah, we're not going to turn down anything unless it's really, really stupid. But,
Well, I mean, as you say, we all have a different point of view of what we want, but it seems like some kind of basic media kind of.
yeah, it does. I agree with you.
Especially nowadays,
I actually asked the developer to make this our audio video one. I can't remember the name of it actually. It's media record or something. It's called.
Even things like text programs often they'll have an audio choice as well, right?
Yeah. Quite a few audio ones people have done. Oh, that's an assignment.
There's a presentation on Poodle
Yeah.
or the day after.
Poodle's the best.
Look, I think
one from the year.
an Atto plugin would be lovely. Someone should get an Atto plugin.
A lot of success, I think.
Now, is that Java based?
Which one? Don't know. I haven't used Poodle very much. What's for fish?
I won't play on OS. These guys are.
Poodle should go into core just by virtue of its cool name.
I actually have a Maltese poodle cross, a Moodle, a dog. His name's Mr. Moodle. So when people call me Mr. Moodle, I go, no, that's my dog. I probably have to finish, right? I should get off here. So thank you. I'm talking tomorrow morning. I'm around. I really want to hear from you. That's the main reason I'm here. So thanks very much for the chat. It's been fun.
Now there is a 1 inch downstairs in Bel Air.